Hi and welcome to issue 1 of the Koi Perspective magazine. I'm here with Tim Waddington, a quality industry guy.
How's it going?
Thanks Tim for doing this.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
Appreciate it. I've kind of watched Tim's videos as a hobbyist on Quality Industry Guy channel, following pond builds, the weird and wonderful, and the spectacular as well. Some of them,
yeah, they are great. Well, they're all good in their own rights because it's what the people want. It's what people get a bit. With the pond, people think, oh, look at that pond, it's absolutely superb, but then people have got different gardens, different everything you see, and whatever vision they have at the first is what the vision they want. We do a lot of ponds that, they could afford 100 times more than that, but they've seen the vision they want, and that's what they want, and that's what they're happy with. You know what I mean? So that's what we do, and we don't really design the ponds. We let the customer design and let they say what they want. And then our main job is just to make sure we can filter it.
And obviously for yourself, you've obviously got a lot of Evolution Aqua products. It's what you've in your videos, like you stick to it and it works for you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it works. They can't break. A lot of these other filters, it's one of them things is where, as a dealer, and we're working all over the country, if we go and fit some sort of technical filter, then by the time you've gone back and tweaked it or done something else with it, then your profit's gone out of the job. And I mean, and the other thing with the Evolution Act stuff, we get good support, we get, and it's easy to get the stock, it's easy to get any, so it's just one of them things. And I mean, I've known them before they even started at Evolution Aqua, so, and I like the product. We run it all here, and it's not a, it's not a gimmick of any kind. I mean, people always say, oh, you must be getting something from EA. And you're just like, no, because it's what I sell. It's what, it's just that's the product that we sell. So we promote the product that we sell. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I'll leave a link in the video description. Go check out some of Tim's pond builds on Quality Nishiki Guy channel. What I really wanted to pick your brains about today, and I think people find it really interesting, is you've been going to Japan. When can you remember the first time it was you went?
When I was 60, so 32 years ago.
32 years ago, wow. And I'm guessing it's changed a heck of a lot since then.
Yeah, massively.
Without the social media age as well.
Yeah.
Talk us through how it would be, trying to find a breeder.
The breeders were pretty easy to find. It wasn't a big thing. I mean, luckily for me is that my dad, who started it, he went there a long time before I went there, and he found out where these places were. And I mean, back then he had agents, Japanese agents, and they knew where everything was, so they could show him around and and stuff like that, and then it went from there. So the actual breeders, Japan's not like, oh, there's a new breeder just popped up. It never happens. You know what I mean? You do see some breeders close, but very rarely you see a new breeder just popping up. I mean, it does happen, but and even if a new breeder pops up, he's going into a facility owned by a previous breeder, so you still know where it is. So, but there really isn't a problem getting around there, and there wasn't a problem getting around there back then because, like I said, back then we did use Japanese agents, and then they used to tell us where to go or show us where to go, drive us where to go, and that was it. So, but after a few, it's like anything, you get to know where everything is.
It's funny because, for somebody like myself who's joined the hobby fairly recently, I tend to get my information from your videos or videos on YouTube about breeders. So it's always interesting for me to imagine how you would do that without that YouTube content. And I guess the social media side of it, it's maybe changing things in Japan slightly over the.
Well, it is. I mean, probably now, we talked about it the other day, me and Paul, probably 90% of all my business now is through this. It's everything, you know what I mean? And, I'm on it, I'm always getting nagged at, get off your phone. But it's especially because we're a self-employed business. So we're working 24/7 really, especially we do a lot abroad. So we can do a lot of, in the States, we do a lot in the Middle East. It's just, so we're talking to them people at different times as well. So, and it's the same in Japan. I mean, Japan, now we can go to Japan and we can do a video and we can WhatsApp it, and then the people can say yes or no, and then we can just say, and we either say to the breeder yeah or no, it's one of them things, he'll buy it, or no, he won't. But we never used to be able to. I mean, everyone always laughs at me because we used to. I mean, people who've been to Japan or been in the industry quite a while, they'll always know a bar in Nagaoka called No More, and we took it over when we were there because we were doing 8-week stints. back then. We were doing 8 weeks at a time.
Got my neck.
And what we used to do, we used to go into this bar every night, and he used to cook us anything we wanted and everything like that. And we got to know him over the years. He was a good friend. And we had our own phone line into the bar, and we had a fax machine.
Wow.
And I always remember, we did it so many times, where I remember my dad drawing a fish on a piece of paper, and he's putting the pattern on it, and then he's pointing arrows saying, this is red, this bit's white, this is black, and faxing it through to customers. And that was the first time we ever did anything like that. And, when it was, and that was it. And then, people would buy fish off a fax. Yeah. And I'm not talking cheap fish.
That's incredible.
There's a lot more. There was a lot more expensive fish bought back then than there is now.
Yeah. So, and I guess for like the breeders, Japanese people, fairly traditional, especially some of the older breeders, and whether or not they know the extent. Do you think they do know the value of it now?
Well, I'm not sure there is a value. I'm not sure for the breeders. I'm still not sure there's a value. The big, like your Dainichis, your Sakais, your Momotaro, your big Isa and stuff like that, they've got a massive online presence now.
Yeah.
They're doing the auctions all the time. I mean, probably 80% of their business is now all auctions.
Yeah.
All of them. They don't even like people coming down to the facility anymore unless it's for an auction.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. But still, I think what they've done is that the Dainichi's done it. But then you get these other breeders. I mean, I've seen recently, I think Marihiro, Shinoda, and Isa did a joint auction thing, but it's very good to just say, oh yeah, let's have an auction, but they don't understand the logistics of the thing. You know what I mean? It's all very well if somebody from, let's just say, from France or from anywhere, and they say, oh yeah, I like that, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Right? But then how do they get it back? And it's all very well that you've got people bringing them into here but it's like, when do you get them back?
Yeah.
Right. So you pay the money now. And then when do you get them back? Then who's going to ship them back for you? Who's going to quarantine the fish for you?
Yeah.
And I don't think they think about it. And I mean, over the next few years, I've said it for a while now, that a lot of breeders will try and direct sell to the public.
Yeah.
Which I've got no problem with. It's up to them. I think going back through the years when people were making a lot of money on individual fish, and like dealers like ourselves, and they make a lot of money, but it doesn't work like that anymore. Especially with social media, that's come into play, where you can't charge stupid amounts of money for fish, because that same fish might be on another 10 people's Facebook page or websites or blogs or something like that. So you get to a stage where, if there's a fish and it's £1,000,000 yen, then about another 20 people know that fish is £1,000,000 yen.
Yeah.
So you can't go and sell it for 3,000,000 yen, and then somebody meets somebody else and goes, "Oh yeah, I bought that one for it was only 3,000,000 yen," and they go, "Well, it was $1,000,000."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't. You are tied now because of social media, which is not a problem. It's not a big deal. But like I said, the breeders, I think that they still think that a lot of dealers are making incredible amounts of money on koi, and they're not. You see, so they're thinking to themselves, hang on a minute, why am I selling it to them and they're making 5 times more than what I bought sell it for? So I think they're trying to get in on the act, but I don't think it'll be a success. I mean, if this is going online, then I can soon be proven wrong or right. But a lot of my customers, they trust me to pick their fish. And that's the only way that it's been. You get a lot of these fish, especially when you buy, it's like anything. You go to a breeder, you've got to check that fish. You've got to check it 10 times. You've got to roll it over. You've got to make sure it's got 2 eyes. You've got to make sure the fins are all right. And it's happened. It happens a lot. But you've got no comeback, have you? So if somebody buys from an auction or something like that, then what they're going to do? Send it back. And it also isn't the responsibility of the dealer that's importing the fish back into the UK or wherever. If that fish dies, or if you've got no comeback. You've got no recall. So I don't think it's going to be as big as what they're hoping it's going to be.
Yeah. The whole auction culture, it's worth discussing on. It's kind of been driven, I think, by the COVID pandemic, but there were auctions before that, as far as I'm aware. But it was driven, I think, in a lot of breeders moving towards that, and I guess it's delivered some form of increase in fish prices on their end, or would you say?
I don't think so. I mean, I just, the auctions, especially over here, they're purely for shifting stock.
Yeah.
That's all they're for.
Yeah.
The purely, but I go to Japan and I handpick all my fish, so I don't need to shift stock.
Yeah.
The fish that I bring in are fish that I know that I can sell, and we do sell. We sell out most years.
Yeah.
So I don't need to get involved in the in the game of, you know, selling auction fish or something like that. It's just not something that we want to do. You know, that might be me being stuck in an old way in some respects, but it's just not something that I believe is a good thing within the industry. You know, people still should go, and especially in England. I mean, you've got so many shops.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go?
Yeah.
Go and pick your own.
Yeah.
You know, I would imagine there's a lot of people who bought fish from auctions that have seen them on the line and stuff like that. They got them back and thought, well, it's not what I really wanted. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. Just go. There's that many shops now in England. You know, you got them everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, you got them everywhere.
I've heard stories of fish that have been at breeders and then have been passed up at certain prices and then have gone on auctions and almost tripled in value and things like that. Because I guess when it's on an auction format, you know, you open it up to a lot more eyes than maybe just one guy in a fish house. Or
I suppose you do. I suppose you will get more people seeing the fish. But again, I mean, you know, it's still, you know, I don't know. It might be me stuck. It's like I wouldn't buy a used car online. I'd want to go and see it. I don't want to do it. You know, I want to go and see that fish.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's up to me to make sure we've got fish in that people want and want to buy. You know, and that's the reason why we go to Japan. That's the reason. You know, and very few people do actually go to Japan themselves. You know what I mean? If you look round, you know, people just assume everybody goes. It's a very tiny percentage of us.
Yeah.
Everybody else buys off a list. Mm-hmm. You know, that's something I'm never going to do.
No. And do you think, going back on, like, obviously information more about the breeders out there, you know, for example, you know, your relationship with Shintaro is obviously widely, you know, available for people to look at on your YouTube. You've got loads of content there. Do you think it helps the hobbyist in their, like, decision making or purchasing koi to have these social media, the YouTube content out there?
I think so. I mean, you know, a lot of people won't go to Japan.
Yeah.
You know, ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, and it's understandable. You know, everybody always says, you know, you sell loads of fish to expensive fish and everything like that. But our business is to sell fish from £25 tozai up to £300 meat side. That's my main business.
Yeah.
You know, anything else, it's bragging rights. Mm-hmm. You know, you put it online. Oh, I've just sold an 85 centimetre shower. You know what I mean? I'd rather take the percentage that I make on the profit on the tozai or on them ones than I would off a big 85 cm shower. It's not. You know, it's not. All it is a bragging thing for social media. Oh, we've sold this. We've done that.
Yeah.
But as a business wise, it isn't the best of business. You know, you see a lot of these dealers saying, "Oh, I'm just going to sell the best fish, and everything like that." And then a couple of years down the line, you see that they're selling just normal general grade. You know, we rely on people coming in the shop and buying the fish, and that's what we rely on. You know what I mean? And we don't do much online, like I was telling you before. You know, it's very rare I have fish up on the website, but we are going to try and figure it out. But we've never had a need to put them up there. You know what I mean? So you know, they just go anyway. But I don't know. With the Shintaro thing, I mean, everyone said we are close with Shintaro. We're very good friends. I've known him all my life. You know, I went to his son's wedding last year, and I remember him being born. Do you know what I mean? So you know, it makes me feel old. But I mean, this shipment, I think, out of 70 boxes or whatever it was, I think 4 boxes came from Shintaro. It's not like, and I think 2 of them were sold fish.
Yeah. So it's not actually a huge proportion of what it is.
No. I mean, our Azakari, we do have a lot of Azakari with Shintaro, and now the last few years they've really started to, you know, like you've seen fish win Grand Champion awards that have been bought at this sort of size and they've grown to 80. So yeah, we do trust him in that respect. Mm-hmm. We do trust him with the Azakari stuff. It's very rare that we leave Azakaris at anywhere else really, because we know we're covered. We know we get, you know, if there's anything happen with them, we know that we're covered, and so he looks after us in that respect.
Yeah,
so.
It's nice, and I think with your koi trip side of things, like it's always nice for you as a group to go there.
Yeah, and also he lets us do the harvests, you know, and you know, and he'll let people get in and have apart from the main harvest, but he'll let people get in and they have a great time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people who've come with us, they'll tell you, you know, they've had a fabulous time. You know,
well, I think for me, like one of my favourite times of harvest season is those type of videos. Like, I look forward to seeing them videos.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's something that's definitely been added to the hobby over the last, you know.
Well, now, it's brilliant. I mean, everybody does it. You know, you see so many from different places now. So, you know, even if I'm just doing the Shintaro harvest, then you've got other people doing a Issa harvest. You've got someone else doing it. So you can see pretty much the full spec of the whole thing. So it's, you know, so I think with the social media and stuff like that, it has come. You can see a lot more than what we used to be able to see, you know what I mean? So like, you know, Shintaro can, you know, I was talking to him yesterday about some, you know, and he sent me some pictures of he said, the snow's not been that much, this year. So and it's so good now to be able to see everything. You know what I mean? But we're there Christ, I'm back again in 2 weeks, so it's sort of like.
And obviously, you've been going to Japan for a long time now. What still gives you like the biggest buzz? What's the thing you look forward to the most when you go in?
I've always said that if it wasn't for the fact that I went to Japan, I wouldn't do this job.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it. People, ponds are all right. And we do the ponds. Probably less this year. We're going to do less this year, but the fish is still our number one. And going to Japan and stuff like that, that's the main one. And I wouldn't. If it wasn't for Japan, I wouldn't go. Yeah. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do this job. I'd find something else. Because that's what I just love going to Japan. It's just a great place, and I know I've known people there for so long now. It's just like a home from home now. I just walk around and you see people, and I even see people in the station now that have got nothing to do with koi.
Yeah.
When they say hello and stuff like that. But it's great, and we've been there that long now, and it's just part of us now.
Yeah.
It's just part of us. But the Japan, it is. I think for any serious koi keeper, and even for any serious dealer, they have to go.
Yeah.
You can't expect to sell high-end Japanese koi if you've never been there.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. You need to have that confidence behind you to be able to sell. You need to have the answers to the questions that people ask you. Trying to sell expensive fish. It's not an easy. It's not an easy thing.
And from your side of things, from like the Niigata experience, how do you think like that's changed for hobbyists, people going on your koi trips and things like that?
I don't think it has, to be honest with you. I don't think that's ever changed. I mean, the main thing that's changed now since I was younger is that we used to do all the business having a cup of tea with the breeder and having something to eat and stuff like that. And that used to be the main, when we used to go out at night, probably about 10 breeders used to come down and we used to be doing business there and then, and it's difficult now. But it's become now, the koi industry in Niigata, and even more so down south, is fully commercial now.
Yeah.
It's a fully commercial business. You're trying to, you're making appointments. You're doing this, you're doing that. You can't just. You can't. Well, to the unhappiness of other people, I do. You know what I mean? You just rock up. But like I said, they're quite. They'll just say, "Is it all right if you come back later?" Or something like that. So because you never know in Japan, is because I don't bang on about it. We don't have an agent, so we can go anywhere. We have no restrictions to where we can go. Yeah. A lot of people that go there only go to a certain amount of breeders, you see, but we'll go anywhere. So if I start my morning at Yogenji, which I often do because they always have the coffee there, then you'll go in there and get a few coffees down you, and then they'll say to you, "Oh, so and so's harvested last night," and you go, "Oh, we'll go there now." Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no, we always have a running thing in Japan saying, "Oh, I posted the schedule to you this morning," and they go, "I've not had a schedule," and there is no schedule. We just go and, we go out at 9 o'clock, we get back at 4. Yeah. And some days we could see 2 breeders, some days we could see 25. It's just one of those things. But we'll go off what other people tell us to do, and it's, I'll get a few messages when I'm in there in the morning saying, "Can you come to us? Can you come and have a look at these that I've just pulled out?" or stuff like that.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I'd love to, one day do a koi trip. So I think the main thing for me with the, like you've just mentioned there with the Yogenji telling you where it's harvested, I guess that's one of the main perks of going with someone like yourself rather than just going rocking up yourself, is knowing all these little things and knowing the routes. I imagine the first time you went, you learned something, and every time you've been going back, you've been doing different things and being more efficient with your time and travelling.
And other things as well is that when you've got a relationship with these guys, that you get to know a lot of stuff, especially before, because the Japanese love a gossip.
Yeah,
they love a gossip. They're like old women when they get going. They'll just be all the time, and you can get a lot of information, and they'll know information about all the breeders. And then sometimes you'll go down and they'll say, "Oh, be careful." You know what I mean? Don't go. Or something like that. So the good thing about having direct relationship with these guys is that you learn a lot before you even go there. Yeah. So you can plan quite a lot before you even set out there, and you'll turn around to people and just say, is there any health issues and thing, and they'll go, no, everything's all right. Or they might say, don't go to him. Right. We've heard stuff about that, so then we won't go. Yeah. Luckily, thankfully, that's not happened for a few years, but it's good to have that relationship where you do find out these things, before anybody else does. And it's good, and it is good. Yeah.
And then with Quality Nishiki going koi trips, you're doing obviously a lot of stuff with overseas, like you've mentioned already. What have you got going on kind of with with the two businesses at the minute?
Well, the koi trips, I've tried to keep. This is the next trip is the All Japan trip, and if you've noticed, I've tried to keep it on the down low. I've not really, because I've got 10 days there, and I've got like direct shipments to do direct from Japan, which is going to take a lot of my time. Yeah. So this time, I got a few people asking, but they're going to come in the autumn time now. Because I need to do it. But we do normally do the All Japan trip. Now, I'm liking last year when I said to you before I went to that wedding, it was in May, and it was the first time ever that I'd actually seen the fish go back into the mud pond for in the springtime, ready for growing. And that was probably one of my favourite trips I've ever been on.
Really?
So I think I'm going to do that again this May.
Yeah.
So I've got a few people wanting to come on that, and they'll see these fish go out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, will last year we had a few fish going in, toes eye wise going in, they sold out like that. So I think we're going to do it a bit more properly this year and take a few photos and get them up there, and we'll do a few videos and stuff of these fish going in that you can buy.
Awesome, yeah.
It's only there for 4 months, and they can go from that size to that size. So, it should be quite fun, and then we're going to get them back and we'll put in a vat and then we'll go through them. And so I think that May trip's the one that's appealing to me more than a spring trip, because I will buy my toes eye. I brought in a lot of the fish that I'll have for this year in December, which are in quarantine in there, and then I'll just add to toes eye and a few other bits this time. So that's not really a major deal. I can get that done in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then the rest I need to concentrate on because the big shipment's going out abroad. So I need to sit down with the shippers and get all the paperwork arranged and everything and get that sorted. So it will be a busy trip this time.
Awesome. And then your toes eye will be, when will they be here for people to view?
Well, they'll be in February, end of Feb.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably take 6 weeks to get right, and then when we move it depends on the temperature here. It depends on our lovely UK temperature to when we move them over here. You know what I mean? We need to match the temperatures that are going to be in there. We normally like it to be above 12.
Yeah.
And then we'll move the toes eye in here. So it's down to the weather, really. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, once the temperature's at 12, our toes eye will be for sale.
Yeah, amazing. All right, guys. Well, I've really enjoyed this. Like I say, head over to Tim's YouTube channel. I'm sure he kept up to date with the trip that you're talking about.
Yeah, I've been a bit slow on it recently, but I will get back on it.
No, it's awesome, and he's got some really cool videos with some interviews with breeders as well recently on there as well. So head over and check that out. And obviously for the magazine, I'll be doing an article on this video. So head over to thekoiperspective.com and you can sign up to the magazine to receive it free to your inbox every month.